Continuing the theme of spooky games, today I'm moving from the PlayStation over to the Nintendo GameCube. This time something a little more lighthearted compared to Dino Crisis. Today we're talking about Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion was the first time the younger green plumber got to be in the spotlight instead of his older brother Mario. Okay, second time, but that one doesn't really count. The game was a launch title for the GameCube, and initial reactions to it were mixed to say the least. As most were clamoring for a new platforming Mario title, not a ghost-busting spin-off starring his brother. But as time went by, the game slowly grew to be a cult classic. The story of the game is that Luigi's won a mansion, from a contest he's never actually entered, being given a map that leads him to said mansion, deep somewhere in some creepy woods. Stepping inside, he soon meets an old man trying to vacuum up a ghost. After escaping together to his lab, the old man introduces himself as Professor Egad. He's an expert on ghosts and explains the mansion you just visited only showed up a few days ago. Not only that, but that Mario also disappeared into that same mansion. Gearing Luigi up with the Poltergust 3000, he heads into the mansion to stop the ghosts and save his brother. Unlike its 2D platforming roots, this game was a 3D adventure game instead. Core gameplay consisted of using Luigi's flashlight to stun ghosts, and then using the Poltergust to suck them up. When attempting to suck them up, you would push on the control stick in the opposite direction the ghost was flying in. Simple on the surface, but different ghosts have different health and can only be stunned in certain ways, so the gameplay doesn't get too repetitive. On top of busting ghosts, Luigi will be collecting money. Cash can be found in furniture, dropped from certain ghosts, or inside certain treasure chests. It's not used to buy anything in-game, but more or less acts as a scoring system. The end of each area tallying up how much money you have collected so far. And at the end of the game, how much cash you found determines what kind of mansion, or not, Luigi gets as a reward for beating the ghosts. Along with the Poltergust, Luigi will make use of the Game Boy Horror, a device built by Professor Egad that gives him a map of the area, can track down the location of certain ghosts when nearby, and has a camera that Luigi can use to detect certain secrets or take a photo of a mirror to teleport himself back to the entrance of the mansion. Besides the regular ghost types, you'll also encounter portrait ghosts. They serve as mid-bosses for the most part, having more health than the average ghost and being difficult to stay attached to. Beating them usually drops a key that will point Luigi in the direction of where to go next, and at the end of an act or an area, they'll be turned back into paintings and tallied up. After a quick tutorial on how to use the Poltergust 3000, Luigi heads back into the mansion. He'll immediately bump into a Toad who's crying and terrified in a corner. He fills him in on how Mario's missing and Luigi promises to save him. Toad doesn't do much in this game other than saving your data. You'll bump into a few more Toads scattered across the mansion, but annoyingly, regardless of which one saves your data, you'll always restart your save from Egad's lab and have to make your way back to where you left off. After a bit of exploring, you'll encounter your first portrait ghost, Nigel Thornberry. He's nothing special, just wait till he yawns and his heart is exposed, then point your flashlight at him and start sucking him up. Once he's done, you can move on to his wife, Lydia. She requires a little more brain power as you have to move the curtain to let a draft into the room, causing her to get cold and get up to close it, letting you take her out too. After her, move on to the final portrait ghost in the area, and the area boss, the couple's baby, Chauncey. When you go into his nursery, you first have to wake him up by rocking his rocking horse. Once he's up, he'll want to play with Luigi by tossing his teddy bears at him. After sucking them up, Luigi can suck up a ball in the room and shoot it back at Chauncey, getting him mad. The baby ghost then shrinks Luigi down to size and starts the proper boss battle. It's a step up from his parents for sure, but not all that hard honestly. He'll open up by throwing rocking horses at Luigi, which are pretty easy to dodge. Next he'll follow up with some bouncing balls, one of which you can suck up and fire at him to expose his heart. Do it a couple more times and you've beaten him. Immediately afterwards, a chest will spawn with the key to the next area, and Professor Egad will call you back to the lab to transform the ghost you've captured back into paintings. Once done with him, you can head back into the mansion. Using the key you found, you can now explore the first floor of the mansion, eventually unlocking the ballroom. In here, first you have to clear out the Shy Guy ghosts, and then take on some more portrait ghosts, the dancing couple. There's nothing special to them, and once beaten, Luigi can enter the storage room and press a switch that frees a bunch of Boo ghosts, introducing one of the most frustrating enemies in the game. Boos work differently than your standard ghost. First, there's a set amount of them, about 50 in total. Second, they hide themselves in rooms, so you have to flash your light or shake furniture in order to find them. Thankfully, the Game Boy Horror will tell you if there's one in a room or not. Once you do find them, you have to suck them up like regular ghosts. However, instead of pulling them towards the Poltergust, you have to constantly keep your aim on them to drain their health. At first they're not a problem, especially since they don't really fight back, but later on their health is huge, and they have an obnoxious habit of floating into another room, forcing you to chase after them. Even worse, they can float off to a part of the mansion that you haven't unlocked yet, forcing you to backtrack at certain points. You aren't required to collect all 50, but certain parts are gated off if you haven't found a certain amount of booze. After some more ghost busting, you'll eventually find yourself in the mirror room. After beating the ghosts in here, Luigi will receive the Fire Element Medal, introducing a new mechanic. There are 3 elements in the game: fire, water, and ice. After finding the medals, you can find an elemental ghost hiding out in things like fires, water fountains, or ice buckets. Sucking one up with the poltergust gives Luigi an elemental attack that he can use to solve puzzles or damage certain ghosts. Heading into the kitchen, you can suck up a fire elemental and then use the fire to light this candlestick floating around. It exposes the ghost butler Shivers, who takes his sweet ass time to float back to the kitchen and then back into his room. Scare him with the fire again and then suck him up, getting the key to the conservatory. In here, interact with all the instruments to summon Melody. She'll play a song for you and ask you what the composer had in mind. In my case, it was the underwater theme from Mario Brothers, so I answered water. Right or wrong, she'll start a fight with you, first attacking with music sheets that need to be sucked up before you can attack her. Beat her and then get the key to the dining room. You're not obligated to capture the fat ghost in here, Mr. Luggins, but might as well get him out of the way. Stun or suck up his ghost chefs, then suck up his food to piss him off. I screwed up here a few times as I wasn't sure what the hell to do. Turns out you just wait for him to get tired after spewing fireballs, and then do your usual ghost vacuuming. Once he's done, go through the kitchen, grab the water medal, and step into the backyard. Capture the ghost dog here, and then head into the graveyard. After taking out the skeleton ghost, you can now face off against the Area 2 boss, Bogmire. I'm not a fan of this fight. It's not hard, just extremely tedious. Bogmire will summon these transparent copies of himself that you have to suck up, getting this ball of goop to shoot him with and make him vulnerable. Problem is, unless you're right next to him, he can be hard to hit, and his copies can end up blocking the shots. Then if you do manage to suck him up while he's tugging you around, it's easy to lose him since his copies will still be hanging around, and you can easily bump into them. Once he's beaten, you'll get the key to the next area and deposit your newest ghosts at Egad's lab. Back in the mansion, Luigi can now enter the courtyard. Nothing special back here really, except this nifty little well. Take a stroll down there and find out that King Boo has trapped Mario in a painting. Not much you can do to save him yet, so take out the lone ghost down here, grab his key, and then move on to the next area. You'll now be in the workout room and have another optional portrait ghost to capture, Biff Atlas. However, as true gamers, it's our job to stop toxic masculinity, so hit him with his punching bags, ruin his pump, and suck him up. Head upstairs, grab the ice medal, and then head into the bathroom. Whoa. Hello there, miss. Need someone to wash your back for you? Uh-oh. Cool off, Miss Petunia. Heh, get it? Because you're using ice?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And then get the key to the billiards room. Before heading there though, head into Nana's room and take out the old lady inside. Again, not much of an interesting fight, just hit her with her yarn ball to piss her off and then make her vulnerable and suck her up. Next stop is the astral room. In here, light up all the candles to complete the satanic ritual, and beat the Shy Guy ghost you end up summoning. And unlock the door to the observatory. Luigi will take a quick look into the telescope and then turn half the room into space. This is where I wish the game had some kind of reticle when you're aiming, as you have to suck up a meteor and blow up the moon, but it'll probably take you a few tries in order to hit it. Once done, grab Mario's star at the end of the path. I forgot to bring this up before, but on top of keys, you'll occasionally find things belonging to Mario. These are necessary in trying to track him down later on in the game. Head back down to the first floor, unlock the billiards room, and hustle the pool shark playing in here. Once he's out of the way, enter the projection room, clear out the ghosts, and find Mario's glove. Return to the entrance of the mansion, and return to the first area where you fought the family of ghosts. Unlock the door here, meet the twin ghosts, beat them at hide and seek, and then fight them. One twin will fight on his airplane and the other in his race car. They're a bit tough as you can't dismount both of them at the same time, so one will inevitably interrupt you while you're trying to suck up the other. Once they're beaten, you'll get Mario's shoe back. Along with Mario's letter and hat that I found earlier, we can head to the fortune teller's room now. In here, shine your flashlight on the crystal ball in the center to summon Madame Clairvoyante. Hand her all of Mario's stuff, and she'll make some predictions, mostly telling you stuff you already knew at this point, Mario being alive, being in a painting, and King Boo being behind this. Though her last prediction hints that Bowser may also be involved. Once she's used up all her fortune-telling power, she'll ask Luigi to capture her, and send her back to being a painting. Once that's done, you'll get a key to the 3rd floor. Up on the 3rd floor, you can head towards the balcony area, but if you haven't caught at least 20 boos, the boo guarding the door will send you back to the entrance of the mansion. Once you have enough boos, head onto the balcony and you'll spot a group of boos just hanging around. Talk to them and then they'll combine into the 3rd area boss, Boolossus. This fight is actually pretty tough because of the Boolossus' size and the overall mechanics of the fight. You have to lead him to one of these ice unicorns, popping him and splitting him up into smaller boos. From there you need to absorb the ice element ghost, freeze the individual boos, and then suck them up. After a bit, the remaining ghosts will reform into a smaller version of Boolossus. What's tough is that at certain points the smaller boos will avoid not getting frozen, while also attacking you at the same time, making it easy to get distracted and get a game over if you're not careful. Once you beat him, get the key to the next area, and then drop off your ghosts at EGADs again. Head back to the balcony and try moving into the next area, stopping when a bolt of lightning knocks out the power in the house. Before you can move on, you'll have to head to the basement to turn it back on. This part can be really annoying as every room is full of ghosts now, and while you're not required to vacuum them up, they still slow things down. Before going to the breaker room, EGAD suggests looking for an older ghost named Grimsley, giving the vague hint that he likes to hang out in front of mirrors. Travel all the way back to the 1st area of the mansion, capture him, and get a key. Head down to the breaker, clear it of ghosts, and turn on the power, getting another key. Speeding things along here, you'll have to take out some clockwork soldiers, Sir Weston, this kind of ice ghost, and finally the art ghost, Vincent Van Gogh. With all of them taken care of, head to the basement and through the steel door at the end, approaching the secret altar and confronting King Boo. He'll monologue for a bit about how he captured Mario and plans to turn Luigi into a painting too. Summoning a Bowser painting, Luigi gets sucked in and the final battle begins. Waking up inside the painting, he'll stand face to face with the King of Koopas, Bowser, who is apparently the one behind all of this. So weird, you don't really see him at all before this fight, but hey, whatever, it's a Mario game, so Bowser has to get shoehorned in somehow, right? Befitting the final boss, he's also the toughest fight in the game. He can breathe fire that does a ton of damage, throw big spiky balls that can explode, and can also suck up Luigi himself, kinda like how you were doing to all the ghosts before. Health is also hard to come by, as you need him to smash into these pillars around the arena to get any, which is annoying to pull off. In order to hurt him, you'll have to suck up one of those mines he throws. Wait till he leans over to breathe fire or try to inhale on you, and then fire it at him. Once you pull it off, you'll find out that, wait, that's not Bowser. It's King Boo inside of a Bowser suit. It's business as usual as you have to try to vacuum him up like the other Boos. Easier said than done though, as he has over 500 HP, and the Bowser head will shoot ice at you trying to freeze you while you're doing it. I died a few times here as I screwed up the timing on shooting the mines a lot. Knock him out of the Bowser suit a few times, vacuum him up, and save Mario. Take him back to EGAD to turn him back to normal, and you've beaten the game. Like I said at the beginning, how much cash you collected determines your rank and what mansion you end up getting at the end. With the game beaten, you also get the opportunity to play through the Hidden Mansion. It's essentially hard mode, with your Poltergust being stronger, but Ghost doing more damage. The PAL version on the other hand mirrored the mansion and changed up the boss tactics a bit to make it a little more interesting. Luigi's Mansion was a great start to his own series, and an overall fun game. That said, the game isn't without its problems. The first is that the game is pretty short, clocking in between 4 to 5 hours. The second is the boos, which are frustrating in their mechanics and just end up padding the game. Some mechanics like the elemental ghosts feel a little underutilized too. Maybe more portrait ghosts weak to certain elements, or an area boss that needed you to switch between elements could have made things a little more interesting. And while it's nice that there's more to do after beating the main game, the Hidden Mansion is pretty lackluster in the original US release. But it was a nice spin on the usual Mario game, an innovative way to have Luigi stand out compared to his older brother, and give him some characterization outside of being Green Mario. And while there's some debate over the quality of the sequels, I think the original still holds up almost 20 years later. Thanks for watching guys. I have one more video planned for this month, maybe two depending on how busy I am. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm FuzzySlippers, and I'll see you later. Peace.